Think about any technology you use all the time, like your phone, maybe the internet itself, or even, I don't know, a really well-designed kettle.
Uh-huh.
It didn't just appear out of nowhere, right? It went through this whole fascinating evolution.
Absolutely. A whole journey.
Exactly. So today, we're going to dive deep into that journey. We're exploring a framework that breaks down the life cycle of technology into 7 distinct phases.
Right. From just a tiny idea, a glimmer, all the way to something that feels totally natural, almost second nature.
Yeah. So we'll be unpacking these 7 phases. The source we're looking at is by Shiva Narayan Taxshila Page.
And consider this your shortcut, really, to understanding that path innovation takes. It can look really complex from the outside.
Totally.
We'll pull out the key bits of each stage, see how they connect, how they build on each other, to give us the tech we honestly often take for granted.
And for you listening, maybe you're curious. You want the big picture, but don't want to get bogged down in like super technical details.
This is for you.
We designed this deep dive just for that. We're pulling out the essentials from this framework, giving you a solid grasp of what really drives tech progress.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's kick things off. Phase 1, the definition phase. The birthplace of ideas, apparently.
It really is where it all starts. The text calls it sowing the seeds of groundbreaking ideas, which I quite like. The key things happening here, lots of brainstorming, really digging deep with research, and this is crucial, pinpointing the exact problem you're trying to solve.
Okay, so it's about getting that initial vision super clear.
Precisely. Forging that clear vision.
So it's that what-if moment, but then you have to ground it. The source mentions research resources, technological space, and definition collection.
Right.
That sounds like figuring out the needs, seeing what's even possible with current tech, and really starting to draw the lines around this new idea, like a first rough sketch.
Exactly like a first sketch. You need that well-defined concept. It's fundamental. Because if you don't really nail down the why and the what right at the start in this phase, well, everything that comes after can get messy, lose direction.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so initial idea, problem identified, vision starting to form. What's next? How does it become more real?
Good question. That takes us to phase 2, the structure phase.
Structure phase. Okay.
So after the definition phase, which is still a bit abstract, right?
Right.
The structure phase is where the innovation starts to take a more solid shape. The text says this is where the blueprint for success is meticulously crafted.
A blueprint. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, it means outlining the basic architecture, creating that structured framework, and making sure the foundation is solid, dependable.
The source uses an analogy I liked. Designing the skeleton of a building with precise mapping.
That's a great way to put it.
So it's not just the idea anymore.
Yeah.
Now you're figuring out how all the pieces fit together. The main components, how they'll interact, the overall logic.
Exactly right. Those abstract concepts from phase 1, now they get translated into, actual plan specifications, details.
Right.
And this phase is all about making sure that underlying structure is strong, but also, importantly, adaptable. Can it grow? Can it scale up?
Ah, okay. So you're building in future potential right from the start.
You have to try. It's building that strong base for everything else. And for you listening, understanding this structure phase helps explain why some technologies feel so much more flexible later on than others.
Got it. Okay. Idea, plan. Phase 3 gets a bit thinky. The cognitive phase. What's happening here?
The cognitive phase, yeah, it's like a bridge, really, connecting the theory and the practical side.
Okay.
This is where you take existing knowledge, everything we already know, and apply it to develop the theory behind the tech and how it will actually function.
So using what's known to build the core logic.
Yes. The text points to incorporating intellectual functions like really focused problem solving, mapping out different solution paths, systematically learning as you go. The source calls it cognitive learnography, which is interesting.
Cognitive learnography. Wow.
Yeah, developing initial working models, maybe just theoretical ones at first, and even generating new knowledge along the way.
So it's like taking established science or engineering principles and figuring out how they apply here. Maybe even creating rough prototypes in theory.
Exactly. And crucially, the source mentions exploring adaptability, but also anticipating potential, mistakes, failures, losses.
Ah, so it's not just positive thinking. It's like a mental stress test before you build anything expensive.
Absolutely. You need rigorous analysis, careful reasoning, maybe some computation, judgment, evaluation. It's critical thinking applied to the potential paths. You're looking at promising routes, sure, but just as importantly, what could trip us up? Where are the pitfalls? The cognitive phase helps you see those early.
Right. Thinking about this phase, you realize how much unseen analysis goes into tech, even stuff that looks simple.
So much. It's
Yeah.
learning and adapting theoretically before committing major resources.
Okay, so learning, refining the theory. Now, phase 4, the innovative phase. This sounds exciting. This is where the big leaps happen.
You got it. The innovative phase is really the heart of technological progress, you could say.
Yeah.
This is where you see high creativity, genuine innovation, and definitely some calculated risk-taking.
Right. Taking chances.
It's the phase where brand new technologies can literally be invented. Often, it's driven by a really pressing problem that needs solving, or maybe a completely new challenge arises in the system.
The text talks about experimentation and a willingness to explore the unknown. Sounds intense. Bold exploration, trying new things, maybe failing sometimes.
That's the spirit of it. Driven by that desire for novel solutions, really pushing the envelope of what people think is possible.
Makes sense.
This involves a lot of what the text calls motor knowledge processing. The hands-on skills engineers get from actually doing experiments.
Right, practical know-how.
And smart derivations, these clever new solutions that pop up because of that experimentation. And as the source notes, this phase is often a huge engine for economic growth, even social change. Think about, say, the jump from basic mobile phones to smartphones.
Oh, yeah.
Huge leap. That wasn't just tweaking things. It was a creative explosion, combining different tech, rethinking user needs entirely. Sometimes these leaps need cross-disciplinary ideas or just being okay with rapid failure and learning.
Totally. That's where you get whole new industries, solutions to global problems, potentially.
Yeah.
Okay, so idea, plan, theory, big innovation. What's next? Phase 5. The formatting phase. What's that about?
Okay, formatting phase. So after that burst of creativity in phase 4, the focus shifts. Now it's about refining the tech, getting it ready for people to actually use, more widely.
Right.
The emphasis is on building excellence during deployment. Key things are a really well thought out design, focusing on the user.
User-centric design. Okay.
Rigorous testing, lots of it, and adding features or value that make it genuinely useful and, frankly, desirable.
So taking the core innovation and polishing it, making it high quality, easy to use.
Exactly. The source mentions polishing, testing rigorously, optimizing performance, fine-tuning details, user experience, the overall design. They become super important now.
Yeah, you want something that works well, obviously, but also feels intuitive, efficient, maybe even looks good.
Precisely. And the text brings up an interesting idea here. Knowledge transformers, or Taxshila transformers.
Taxshila transformers.
Yeah, basically it's talking about a highly skilled workforce,
Mm-hmm.
specialists who are key to getting these high-quality productive outcomes. This phase is vital for bridging that gap between a cool innovation and a market-ready product people actually want.
Got it. It's making sure it hits industry standards, maybe even goes beyond what users expect, where the rubber meets the road for creating real value. Okay, now phase 6 has a unique name. The Taxshila phase.
The Taxshila phase, yes. It's described as a composite phase. It's all about continuous learning, ongoing improvement, adaptation.
Composite, so it has parts.
It does. 3 main subphases, all linked. Operational, feedback, and regular updating. Think of it like a constant cycle of refinement.
Okay, so it's not like you launch it after formatting and you're done.
Definitely not.
The tech's out there, but the journey keeps going. Operational. That sounds like just keeping it running smoothly for users.
That's the core of it, making those real-world tweaks so it works reliably day to day. Then comes the feedback subphase. Absolutely critical.
Listening to users.
Actively listening, finding bugs, issues, but also gathering insights. How are people really using it? Where can it be better? And finally, regular updating. That's where you take the feedback, plus any new tech advancements, and you use it to enhance the technology. New features, fixes, performance boosts, iteration.
Like a continuous improvement loop.
Okay.
So mistakes or problems aren't failures, they're learning opportunities.
Exactly. The tech gets honed, improved based on actual use and what the market needs next. The source calls it a constant refinement process, which sums it up perfectly.
Yeah, it keeps it relevant, competitive, meeting user needs.
Right. It's about the long game, ensuring the technology doesn't just survive, but thrives in a landscape that's always changing.
Okay, makes sense. That brings us to the final stage. Phase 7, the intuitive phase. Sounds lofty. The ultimate goal.
It really is presented that way. The intuitive phase is the culmination, the peak of the journey. It's when the technology works so seamlessly, so naturally, it feels almost like, Well, like part of your own intuition.
Like you don't even think about using it.
Pretty much. The text mentions deep brain page module processing.
Whoa.
Yeah, referring to like advanced processing, complex algorithms that let the tech anticipate needs, function so effortlessly it feels simple. It also talks about big ideas reaching their full potential and this really interesting concept, dark knowledge coming to life.
Dark knowledge. What's that?
That's serious.
It does. The source describes it as uncharted territories of definitions, functional objects, and understanding that exist sort of outside our conscious awareness. So the idea is, in this final phase, the tech somehow taps into this deeper level of function or understanding. It leads to rapid growth, maybe global market dominance. Think about riding a bike, right?
You don't consciously manage every tiny muscle movement after a while. It becomes intuitive. This dark knowledge in tech might be similar. The underlying complexity is so well integrated, the user just experiences smooth, effortless interaction.
I get it. So the complexity is hidden, mastered.
Exactly. It reaches a point where it's so deeply woven into our lives, our workflows, we barely notice it. Using a search engine, connecting instantly on your phone for many, that's second nature now.
Right.
In the intuitive phase, innovations hit their peak impact. They get embedded in society, often becoming platforms for the next wave of innovation.
It's when the tech just works, invisibly almost. Not a tool anymore, but just part of how we do things. Okay, quick recap then. 7 phases.
Let's do it.
1, definition the idea sparks. 2, structure the blueprint gets made. 3, cognitive applying knowledge, thinking it through.
Yeah.
4, innovative, the big breakthrough.
Right.
5, formatting, making a quality product.
Yeah.
6, Taxshila, constant refinement, learning.
Yep.
And 7, intuitive, seamless integration. It just is.
That's a great summary. Understanding these phases, even broadly, gives you a really valuable way to look at how technology actually develops.
Yeah.
It highlights that innovation isn't just one magic moment. It's a process, a series of connected stages, often messy.
Absolutely. And for you listening, maybe take a moment later. Think about some tech you use every day. Where would you place it in these 7 phases right now?
Good question.
And what kind of challenges do you think it faced moving from, say, phase 4 to 5 or 6 to 7? It's fascinating when you start looking at familiar things through this lens.
It really is. And honestly, with technology evolving faster than ever, understanding these underlying patterns, it's only going to become more helpful, I think. The journey never really stops.
Well said. Always something new on the horizon. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
My pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious.